More details have emerged regarding the Victorian food delivery worker who was in the community while infectious with COVID-19. Drew Jones is in Melbourne for us. Drew, what details have emerged from contact tracing regarding the case?
Good afternoon, Gab. Yeah, so on May 18 and 19, this worker went to numerous different sites to deliver food around the northern suburbs and the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. Unfortunately, they weren't aware at the time that they were infectious with COVID-19. They only subsequently got tested the next week. So they're still investigating all of the possible close contacts. But Gab, 4 of the 5 cases locally acquired in Melbourne today are linked to that, and they're all close contact, essentially family of this person. Unfortunately, one of those is a student at a school, Mount Ridley College in Craigieburn. So there is a slight amount, maybe alarm's not the right word, but certainly schools in the past have shown a really good ability to cope with these situations, but there is a little bit of, I guess, caution about getting in contact with as many people as possible who may have come into contact with this student to get that sorted out. So that's still ongoing at the moment. The other case, Gab, was linked to Port Melbourne and a property inspection, so that accounts for the 5. But I guess the message today from Victorian Health and from the government was, regardless of how you're feeling, if only it's very mild symptoms, make sure you're getting tested. Record numbers, as you mentioned in the headlines, 56,000 yesterday, which was a great effort. But in particular now, I think they've moved on from the bars and the social outings that were a worry the last couple of days. Now it's onto these shopping centres and various places that this person has visited while infected. And Martin Foley and the crew, they elaborated on this afternoon.
People variously in Epping, Wollert, Dandenong, Craigieburn and a number of other related suburbs will be receiving text messages today advising them to do precisely that, to check the website, to check if you are caught by the Tier 1 exposure requirements.
So, Drew, there's been a record amount of testing, but also a record number of vaccines. That must be encouraging for the Victorian government.
Yeah, and so much so that they had to turn people away. So we went to the one in Carlton Gardens today, and from about 10:30 in the morning, the people who hadn't booked in the walk-ups were basically getting turned away. So some of them were in line for up to 3 or 4 hours, and then people who had booked in for a certain time, well, those bookings were just getting blown out of the water because of how many people were there, and I guess the build-up, which I guess, while on the surface for those people was frustrating, and certainly everyone's patience was being tested to the point where it was recommended that people needed to turn up with food, drink and water, maybe even a blanket because it was that cold in Melbourne today. That frustration is obvious, but I guess it's a good sign in many ways that people are going out and getting vaccinated. So that's a big tick. It seems as though at the moment, with 70,000 new doses each week being given to Melbourne, about 11,000 was dealt out yesterday of the Pfizer vaccine. So we're pretty much at our capacity right now. So they'll continue to book out the vaccinations as much as possible. But the message is, if you can't get through on the phone line, try your luck early in the morning to see if you can do a walk-up, because the more people getting vaccinated, clearly, the better it's going to be for Victoria. And just a quick one on the cases at the moment, Gab. I think that generally there's probably been a lot of positivity about 4 cases yesterday, 5 today. There is probably an element of a warning from some health experts to say that a lot of the close contacts are now coming out of their incubation period, and perhaps there might be a spike in cases. But at this stage, no talk about whether this 7-day lockdown will only be a week or potentially whether it will be extended.
Drew.
It's a 7-day circuit breaker shutdown. And what we've been clear and upfront on every day is each day we review based on the intelligence and the material that we've got before us. And it's too early to make that announcement. Today's the 2nd day of 7 days.
Gab, small business, as always, a topic for discussion here. So a relief package seems like it's on its way from the Victorian government. They've already tipped in $6 billion over the period dating back to lockdowns last year. Again, it looks like they're going to have to go into their pocket, with the Commonwealth not seemingly on board yet. Hopefully they come to the party, particularly if this lockdown gets extended for small businesses who are doing it tough during this period.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be hearing from a Melbourne restaurant owner later in the program. Drew Jones, thanks for all the latest.